Now, panel of the early transfer enrollees that will participate in spring ball, who is the most intriguing to you and why? Eric?
I'm taking three. It's all three defensive linemen. It's Keon Bars comes over in the middle from Arizona. You talked about Jack Sullivan from Purdue and Anthony Lucas from A&M. Anthony Lucas is interesting to me only because USC, the last two off seasons, and when you talk about transfer portal additions for USC, the last two off seasons, you're talking about half a roster, right? I mean, just tons of guys, and very, very few of them have been sort of potential, like very young guys that are all just sort of recruiting potential. So many of these guys that come over, it's clear the coaches want, have you done this before? Is there proven production here? And those are guys that they've really gone after. Anthony Lucas played in a handful of games. I think he had 10 tackles for A&M. But boy, if he plays like the recruit that everybody thought he was, that is a huge addition to the defensive line. And he's not a true freshman anymore, right? He's got some playing time under his belt. You can expect things, I think, out of him. Keon Bars in the middle is a guy who has some sacks, is able to get penetration. He adds to a spot that has needed kind of talented bodies added to it for years now for USC. And then Jack Sullivan, everything you hear about Jack Sullivan is this guy plays against the run surprisingly well. I mean, extremely well. And that's something that USC absolutely needs. They need a guy who can hold the edge, who can make tackles, who can be disruptive there. And so you add three guys that bring a little bit of everything. And I think, Greg, you mentioned it, and I've talked about this too. If USC doesn't add any other defensive linemen when that window opens in May and more guys jump in, which at this point I bet there's another guy out there somewhere that ends up on USC's roster. But it wouldn't shock me at all if those are your three starters across the defensive line when the season started again. But that's why they're intriguing. Do they come in the spring and say, yeah, these are our spots and fit in and play to that level?
All right. Mark?
Yeah, I've mentioned Corey Foreman's name. Eric, you've mentioned Romello Haight's name. I'm going to mention Jamil Muhammad's name. That position all of a sudden has gotten a little crowded. And obviously, we know that if that position isn't working, the defense kind of breaks down. They're not getting any pressure on the quarterback. I'm interested to see if this guy we know he's athletic. We know he's smart. He started off playing quarterback, moved to defense. Is he the missing link in this defense?
Okay, Chris?
Yeah, those are all good choices. I'm going to go with Mason Cobb. This is a guy who is really productive at Oklahoma State. Aggressive guy, looks like a pretty athletic guy. USC badly needs somebody at a physical presence at that linebacker spot who can make plays. And the two transfers last year, Shane Lee, Eric Gentry, were a significant step up from what USC had the year before. But both of them have some limitations. Gentry, because he needs to add good weight, and hopefully he will. Shane Lee, because he's a great leader and a tough guy who probably would have been the best player on the team in 1955, but may not have the sort of athleticism that you look for in with these wide open offenses. And so Mason Cobb is a guy who has to be good from day one. He has to be if USC is going to have a chance to get to the college football playoff. And so he's the one I'm most looking forward to watching.
All right, I'll finish this segment with I'm going with Anthony Lucas. Now, I think that he has potential, which, as I said before, is unproven talent. He apparently doesn't bring it on every play, although I understand that he originally wanted to come to USC, and whatever reason he didn't. But now he's here. He could be a tremendous addition if he brings it on every play. He certainly got all the qualities to do so. But as we well know, there's a lot of players that come to universities with a lot of hoopla, and potential remains potential. Unproven talent till you find out they like the game, they don't love the game. I think Coach Nua will bring it out in this guy one way or the other. It'll be sink or swim. And if he does produce, it's going to be a really big bonus for USC.